Okay, a very exciting day for Auburn football. 2 weeks ago we set out to hire, one of the best defensive minds in all of college football, and we feel like we definitely did that. We also set out to get somebody that understood Auburn, that would be a good fit for Auburn, and we definitely did that. Real excited to welcome Will, his wife Carol, sons Jackson and Whit to our family. Also like to thank Jay Jacobs for his leadership, for helping make something like this possible. And his commitment to Auburn football. Just a couple notes. Will not coach the bowl game. He'll monitor practice. He'll get to know our kids. Charlie Harbison will act as our defensive coordinator during the bowl, and as far as that goes. So I'd like to welcome our new defense coordinator, Will Muschamp.
All right, how y'all doing? Great to be back. Now my third tenure at Auburn. I was a graduate assistant in the 90s there, and then defensive coordinator in 06 and 07. I see a lot of familiar faces out there. But it's great to be back. I want to thank Gus for this opportunity to come to Auburn. It's a great place. It's a special place, obviously, in the way you treat people and the way you handle your business, and really excited to be back. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank Dr. Googe and Jay Jacobs for making this opportunity happen, and to see all the facility changes and all the nice things that have happened within this campus is awesome to see. I see the wellness center and I know the student athlete housing on the recruiting trail. All the kids that would come to Florida and come to Auburn, they'd tell me how nice the housing was here. So it's good to be on that side of it now. So I'm excited about that. But I want to thank my family, Carol and Jackson and Whit, for being a coach's wife, and a coach's kids are hard sometimes. You got to move around a lot in this profession, and they certainly have been supportive of me. But this was really a family decision. My nephew Jordan, goes to school here at Auburn. He's in his second year. My family, my mom's in Mentone, Alabama. Carol's parents are about an hour and a half away. I've got family in Atlanta and Rome, Georgia. So this was a family decision, and this was a very easy decision for us to have the opportunity to come back to Auburn, which we think is a really special place. We're certainly back to be a part of the family. Can't wait to get started. Looking forward to getting on the road recruiting here today, hopefully, and monitoring practice and kind of seeing how we work and that sort of thing as we move forward here at Auburn. I open it up if you have any questions.
Will, you reportedly interviewed elsewhere and were considering some other opportunities. Why ultimately did you choose?
Well, this was the only job I was offered. I've got a lot of friends in the coaching profession, and when you get a phone call or when you talk to somebody, you guys like to run with it. All of a sudden we took a job or turned down a job or whatever. So at the end of the day, this was the only job I was offered, and I was honored to have the opportunity here.
Well, what the last 2 weeks been like for you since the last one?
It's been great. I went to the Dominican Republic with my wife, so we had a lot of fun and relaxed a little bit. After the season was over, we had decided to sit back for a couple weeks. I made it 13 days. So to enjoy being at home, me and Carol, the kids, enjoy that part of it. And that was important to us, and we certainly enjoyed that time and just felt like this was the right time for us.
Is there any doubt in your mind that you wanted to return to coaching immediately instead of sitting out a year?
I felt like this, I'm just a ball coach. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I enjoy doing, and I'm very thankful to have a great family that understands that, and we're looking forward to the next step.
Over these 13 days, how much contact is going on between you and Gus directly, and how much was going on with Jimmy Sexton as it go between the two of you?
No, Gus and I talked, a lot throughout the last 2 weeks. I didn't for about 7 days because nobody could get a hold of me. I didn't get any reception down there, so it was kind of nice. But no, Gus and I talked directly.
Well, what are you going to be doing the next 3 weeks or so here at Auburn?
Well, we're going to go back to Gainesville tomorrow, and I'm gonna come back for practice on Monday through Thursday and kind of just monitor practice and watch practice and get to know the players a little bit more, and go enjoy Christmas in Gainesville, and then Gus and I will make a decision from there forward on how he wants to handle that.
What's your time frame about assembling a staff?
Well, that's Gus's decision. That's his decision. He'll make those calls.
Are you hoping to get back to a head coaching job anytime soon?
Well, certainly. I think that you'd always like to have that opportunity again, but you always want to be in a situation where they have the resources for you to be successful. They have the support like a place like Auburn for you to be successful and win championships. So it's not just to me about being a head coach. It's about being somewhere where you know you're going to get the support, the resources, the financing you need to have to be successful and to win championships. So for me, it's not just about being a head coach. I'd rather be a defensive coordinator at a place like Auburn where you know you can go compete for a championship every year, and that's what we plan on doing.
We'll talk about working with a guy like us and kind of getting to know him some. How much did that help you?
Well, certainly, you know, I got to know him at, you know, these meetings we have down in Destin every year, and just very impressed with him. Faced him several times. As a guy that I've got a lot of respect for on the offensive side of the ball and the job that he does. So I'm looking forward to it, really am. We talk philosophically a lot about things and how you do things and how you practice and those sort of things, and we're in line in all those situations, so I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, you haven't played Auburn in the past couple of years, but you had some common opponents in South Carolina and LSU who faced Auburn before facing you guys this season. Just what are your initial impressions of the team you're inheriting, the defensive players you're inheriting?
Well, I think the front seven very strong. You know, just looking at some of the guys up front, I recruited a bunch of them, so I'm looking forward to coaching some of them that turned me down. You know, I don't want to make a lot of comments because it's hard to, talk about, scheme and those sort of things when you haven't been in the meetings and you don't know exactly what's going on. I know, some injuries obviously hurt them this year tremendously. When you lose a guy like Carl Lawson, a pass rusher like that, that's going to affect your coaching ability. I can tell you that right now. So those are things we'll work through this coming week, and looking forward to those guys. But I think we've got a good enough combination of guys to be fine.
With the scheme in particular, coming from 4-2-5 to a traditional 4-3, there's less linebackers on the roster at the moment. Just how much of an emphasis is that going to be to replenish that position in particular?
Well, again, we'll address those things moving forward. At this time, again, I'm just happy to be here. I know that there's some good players at the position, and I know there's some good young players coming, so we're looking forward to coaching those guys.
How do you feel about the comments that so many people will make about fielding a strong defense with a no-huddle up-tempo type offense?
Well, last year in my research at Auburn, they averaged 72 plays per game offensively. And at the University of Florida, we averaged 70. So there's a huge difference sometimes in life and perception and reality. And the perception is a hurry up, no huddle. Perception at Florida is the defensive coach was the head coach, and it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. All right, but you're talking about how many plays? 2. We played pretty good defense. It's our job to get off the field on defense, and it's our job to get the ball back to the offense. That's what we plan on doing.
Well, how does having been a head coach, does that change your perspective coming back into
Absolutely.
this?
I think, from a standpoint of thinking the answers of the guy that's got to sit behind that desk and make those decisions, and there's a bunch of hard ones you got to make, and understanding what that guy's got to go through. So there's no question that you have a different perspective to be able to see things through that light.
Well, how have you evolved defensively since you left here for Texas those years ago? Have you changed the way that you approach defense and run a defense?
Not really. I mean, from a standpoint of the basic fundamentals, we're never going to change. I'm going to ask the kids every day, give me great effort, have a great attitude when you hit the field, and give me some great energy. So those 3 things are on you as a player. And we'll handle the execution and the other stuff as we move forward. And that's always going to be my ideas defensively and what we need to do. And it's our job as coaches to identify with the players, what can they do well. I mean, if you can't play man coverage, you need to find out how to play zone and stop them. That's the bottom line. If you can be a man team, and we like to be a man team, we like to be a middle field coverage team, you like to be able to mix things up, how much can they handle? But all those decisions will be made as we move forward and getting into spring ball and all those sort of things. So, again, as far as fundamentally, nothing's changed. But I think you got to, again, identify what your kids can do. I think that's really important.
Your defense has almost always been top 10, top 20 in total defense every year. What are you expecting realistically for this season? Similar results?
Well, I would, So we've been pretty good where we've been, but we've also had a bunch of good players, and that's the bottom line. It's what it comes down to is players.
Any other questions for Coach
You've
Muschamp?
got that clause from Florida that I'm not a lawyer, that says that the 1 year before you can recruit people. But how does that affect you here? I mean, Auburn was previously recruiting a lot of those guys.
As long as Auburn was previously recruiting a student athlete, we're more than welcome to recruit him.
You worked with Damian Craig in Miami. Just what it, obviously recruited against him when he was at Florida State and here. What is it like to now be back on staff with him again?
Well, I got a lot of respect for Damon. First of all, as a quarterback here at Auburn and the job he did as a player, had a great career in the NFL Europe and set records over there. But a guy that I've got a lot of respect for as far as how he handles himself, his work habits, and the thing he does.
The discussion of the 8 versus 9 game schedule over the past couple of years, you and Gus have both discussed the.
I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's Gus's problem now.
The Florida-Auburn series, amid that discussion was the Florida-Auburn series, and you said you really wish that had gone on more. Now that you're here on this side, are you glad you won't have to go there until 2019?
That's Gus's problem.
Are you planning just to hit the road, immediately start recruiting?
Yeah, right, we get done, we walk out that door, we're going.
It used to be that SEC coordinators would talk about stopping the run first. How much more important is stopping the pass than maybe it was a little bit?
Well, I mean, again, I think regardless of what you're trying to stop, you better make it one-dimensional. Because when teams can stay balanced on you, it's really, really difficult to stop people. So, the keys to everything is, number one is turnovers. Get the ball back to your offense. That's your job. You got to create the line of scrimmage in our league, especially in this division. You better win on the line of scrimmage, or you won't have a chance. So in terms of that, you got to be able to stop the run with most of the teams that you're going to be able to face, and stay away from explosive plays. When they're getting chunk yardage down the field, it's hard to defend and change the vertical field position in the game. So those are all things to me that, defensively, it's all about the ball to me. Let's get the ball out first, and let's worry about the rest of the stuff later.
Have you heard from your old boss at LSU in Miami, either during this process or since you took the
Certainly,
job?
I've talked to him during the process. Mm-hmm.
What was his message about?
Just, good luck in what you're going to be trying to do and where you end up landing.
You research this job. What are some immediate needs you think you got to go address?
Well, those are things I think film can only take you so far. You need to watch practice and see those things. I know one thing, they've recruited a bunch of good players here because there's a bunch of guys that we were recruiting. So those are things to me you address moving forward.
How valuable will it be, Will, to be able to watch practice without actually having to be involved in the planning of practice and those things, just to focus on kind of.
Well, again, you see
watching what
the guy's work ethic and his work habits and how he goes about his business, which to me, in order to be a really good player, you got to have, God's got to bless you with some ability, but the most talented part you can have is work ethic. And the best players I've been around are the guys that go work. They come out there every day and they go to work. And, I was watching the Auburn Oregon game on TV the other night, and there's a bunch of guys on that defensive field, at least for me, that I personally recruited that worked. Josh Bynes and Craig Stevens and those guys, and Zach Etheridge, guys that went out and they worked every day, and that's why they developed their skill set to have an opportunity to go win a national championship.
On top of that, how hard is it going to be not to be coaching them while you're watching the guys that you're going to be coaching next year?
Well, again, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it Monday, but I'm just certainly looking forward to getting back on the field. It's been a great 2 weeks, but I've also been itching a little bit. I had to ask Carol after about the second day. I said, "What do you do all day?" So I'm looking forward to getting back on the field.
Anything else? All right, Coach, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Take a few questions now.
Thanks for seeing you.
Really good to see you.
Questions for Coach Malzahn?
Could you talk about the length and value of the contract?
We'll get the details out in the near future as far as the contract's concerned.
How many years?
We'll get the details out in the near future.
Gus, are you planning to make any more changes to your defensive staff?
We got a solid defensive staff. We'll have ownership over that. Me and him will get together.
How long did it take for you to identify him as the guy?
The guy, it didn't take long. After, I decided to make a change, my goal was to go out there and get the best defensive coordinator, in the country. Also, I wanted a class guy, a true professional, and Will fit all the above. And, he was the first guy that I contacted. He's the guy that I wanted, and we are blessed to have him here at Auburn.
What is it, coaching-wise, about him that you like?
Well, first of all, he's a great coach. He's got a proven track record. I love his energy. I'm an energy guy too. I was really wanting somebody that had great energy, intensity, to really have that defense take on his personality. And you know, he's one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. And so, you know, we got all the above than what we were looking for.
What do you see as far as needs on this defense, talent-wise?
You know, we're trying to recruit the best players out there. I'm going to let Will evaluate everything. I think it'll be really good for him to kind of sit back and watch our guys perform, evaluate, assess, you know, and then get the best plan, you know, together, you know, for his defense.
The same question I asked Will about the personnel when you're switching from a 4-2-5 to a 4-3. Just how much attention are you going to have to pay to the linebacker position these next 2 months?
You know, I would say this. You know, we got some good players, and Will have a chance to evaluate them, assess them, and he'll put the pieces of the puzzle, you know, that will, you know, help create his defense.
How valuable is it to have somebody who's kind of been where you are?
Yeah.
On your staff?
You know, I think it's very valuable. The fact that, you know, he's been a head coach in this league, he understands what it's like. You know, a lot of times coordinators that hadn't been head coaches, and I was the same way, you know, a lot of times you don't really understand everything. And the fact that he's been there and done that, you know, and he'll be a good sounding board for me too, you know, as far as some of the decisions you make. And he'll have a good understanding of you know, how everything works.
There were a lot of, you know, a lot of angst in the, you know, fan base and everything about, even though it was just 13 days, about how long it was taking. But talk about the timing of being able to get this done here while you still have opportunity to have some contact recruiting and before practice gets started.
Yeah, you know, I think, well, first of all, you know, you go after somebody, you identify who you want. And I'm not a real patient guy, but I really felt like, you know, I really needed to be in this, you know, setting and give him a chance to, you know, take his family, go off and all that. And so as far as the timing goes right now, I think it's really good. You know, right before the dead period hits, the bowl goes, it's going to be a great opportunity for Will to see our players and evaluate those guys, and then, you know, be ready to hit the road recruiting, you know, come January.
Gus, did you have any sort of deadline for Will that you needed, you know, a decision by a certain time so you can maybe make some plans?
You know, no, I was going to be patient, so I really didn't have any set time. I just knew that's who that I wanted, who we needed, and I was going to do whatever, you know, time-wise it took to give him the, you know, the proper time to make a decision.
Do you think it's possible to have a top 10, top 20 defense here next season with Muschamp?
You know, if you look at his track record, I mean, wherever he's been, it's been a top defense. You know, he'll have a chance to evaluate our guys. You know, he has high expectations just like I do. So, you know, we expect to win. We expect to win championships, and so looking forward to coaching with him.
You mentioned Jay's influence. Can you basically do whatever you have to financially to get the right staff in?
Well, I mean, there's a process. I mean, Jay's leadership is second to none, and you know, he's one of the best, if not the best, athletic director in college, and I'm blessed to be, you know, working under him, and his leadership is second to none.
What is the process when you're represented by the same agent? Is it awkward at all when you're going through that process, or is it just part of the business?
No, I just, you know, like Will said, we communicated between each other. It wasn't awkward at all.
Gus, what does he provide on the recruiting trail? What have you, from going against him and things of that sort?
Yeah, well, first of all, he's one of the best defensive minds in all of football. He's got a great reputation. Kids love to play for him. The success he's had is really unbelievable. So as far as what he provides he provides a whole lot. And
so to speak, but how important is it, do you think, for his success is that it's him been coaching on the sideline, being on the sideline as a coordinator?
Say it again.
For him, he's always been on the sideline as a coordinator.
Yeah.
How important has that been as far as his success?
He's one of the best to coach defense. So I mean, he's got great energy. I've been on the sideline, looks at players in the eyes, and they play hard for him. And you know, he's got it figured out.
Gus, you said yourself, he's one of the best defensive minds in college football. You've been called one of the best offensive minds in college football. What's your thought just on that kind of combination in one staff?
I'm excited about it. It's a pretty good combination, the way I look at it. So I'm excited to be coaching with him.